The Board Bia quality mark, ensuring your food is produced to the highest standards of traceability and care for the environment.
Today I've got recipes using beef and pork, pineapple and coconut. A really good burger has to be made with really good beef. And if you can, ask your butcher to mince some rump, blade or chuck steak for you. You'll be delighted with the result. Oliver Dunn is one of the most exciting chefs in Dublin, with a string of successful restaurants to his name. His most recent venture is Cleavery East in Temple Bar, and I'm going to visit him there to watch him prepare one of the restaurant's most popular dishes, belly of pork. After all that meat, we need something light and sweet. And this toasted coconut and Malibu parfait with pineapple carpaccio is a great summer dessert with wonderful tropical flavours. Beef is the most popular meat we serve in the restaurant. We love our beef here, and with good reason. I think it's the best in the world, and incredibly, about 90% of beef produced in Ireland is exported. I've met Michelin-starred chefs abroad who insist on using Irish beef in their restaurants. Jim Hogan is one of 32,000 quality-assured beef farmers in Ireland, and this farm has been in the family for more than 200 years. Jim raises heifers for Hereford Prime. The beef in Ireland is so good because it's grass-fed, and grass is a more natural diet for beef cattle than grain. Ireland has the longest grass-growing season in Europe, and we take seeing cattle grazing in the field completely for granted. But on the continent and in the States, this would be the exception. Grass-fed beef has a more even distribution of fat, which creates what we call the marbling effect, and this gives a better taste. And in this next dish, I'm using beef mince, a real family favourite. A really good burger has to be made with really good quality beef. About 20% fat you're looking for content so that it keeps it lovely and moist. If you go to the supermarket, try not to use the extra lean beef because it will dry out your burger. So I have some good quality assured beef here. Place in the food processor, in like so. 1 onion which is grated into the mixer. 1 small chilli, remove the seeds. So I'm going to put some garlic into this. So just peel it, and if there's any green in the garlic, remove it. 2 tablespoons of cream, and this is just some regular whipping cream I'm using. Flat leaf parsley. You don't have to chop it too fine. Just rock the knife over and back. And then this is going to go into the food processor. I'm going to put a good pinch of salt, lots of black pepper. So you just blend it really for a minute and it all combines together. Now, that's it. And we're going to shape these. When you're doing this, if you just get a little bit of cold water or warm water, doesn't really matter once it's not too hot, and then just shape them into your burgers. You can see all the little freckles of chilli and the herbs also. Now what I like to do is just simply on the board, press them down and then just shape them. So I'm just sitting them onto some parchment paper, and that really will just stop them from sticking. After handling any kind of raw meat, you must wash your hands. So now with your burgers, cover them in cling film, place them in the fridge for at least a couple of hours, and that kind of just firms up the meat. But before you cook them, the secret is to bring them to room temperature. For about maybe 10-15 minutes is enough for a burger. We're going to grill these. Nice hot griddle pan. Smear them with a little bit of rapeseed oil. There's no need to season them because we already have them seasoned. Lift them off, put them oil side down. So just simply flip them over. If they're cooking too fast, turn down the heat. So I have the heat up at full. I'm going to show you now how to just make a lettuce mayonnaise, which is really simple, but works really well with any kind of burger, and particularly the beef burger. So the first thing I'm going to do is just shred my iceberg lettuce. Then I'm going to place this into the bowl at 2 spoonfuls of mayonnaise. So just give this a little mix. In goes my iceberg. And then we're going to put a little bit of spring onion and also some Dijon mustard. Roughly about a teaspoonful of Dijon mustard goes in there. Spring onion, chop it nice. And you don't want to be too small or too particular with this. In goes the spring onion, and then we have some gherkins. And they add a lovely pickling, kind of like a vinegar aftertaste with a lovely bit of texture also. Let's cut these nice and fine. Now, just place these in with the spring onion. You have the mayonnaise in there, the Dijon mustard, and also we have the iceberg. Pinch of salt, a little bit of black pepper. So mix it all through. Looks great, lovely and colourful. Place a little bit of oil on the other side of the burger. Let me flip these over. Oh yeah, that looks good. I'm going to turn down the heat slightly. I want to make sure they're cooked through. While that's on cooking, I can just prepare my cheese and also the tomatoes. This is just mature cheddar, and I've often made a burger by inverting cheese into the centre of the burger. So when you make your pate, you make a little pocket, put in your cheese, and it's really, really good. We're going to slice our tomato, and these are the vine tomatoes. Put everything on the plate. This makes it easier just for dressing up. These are nearly ready. I'm just pressing into the centre of them. I need about 2 more minutes. And I'm going to serve these with potato wedges. And here's how to make them. Scrub 4 large potatoes and cut each one into 8 evenly sized wedges. Drop the wedges into boiling water and return to the boil for 2 to 3 minutes. This helps to cook them faster and keeps them moist when they're cooking in the oven. Drain the wedges and put 2 tablespoons of rapeseed oil into a large bowl. Add 2 teaspoonfuls of Cajun dressing, season with salt and pepper, and tip in the potatoes. Toss the wedges so that they're evenly coated and tip them into a baking tray. Cook them in a preheated oven at 200 degrees for about 35 to 40 minutes. Now, so this is what they look like when they're cooked. They're golden brown, lovely and crunchy. So be careful, they are hot. We're ready to serve up, my favourite part. So just place some cheese, a little slice of cheese on each one, perfect. Burger baps, just simply grill them. So you build up your wedges. I love the shape of them. And then for your burger bap, just first of all the base, spoon on our lettuce mayonnaise, some tomato, sits on top, and then our burger. So the cheese is melted. And now the burger bap on top. Some Ballymaloo relish to serve with it, which I absolutely adore. It's really worthwhile making your own burgers. I hope you enjoy this recipe. Oliver Dunn is one of the most exciting chefs in Dublin. He told me once that he didn't eat vegetables until he was 18 years old, and he entered the restaurant world without any formal training, working his way up the ranks the old-fashioned way, starting as a commis chef here in Dublin. After a couple of years, he went to London, where he worked for Gary Rhodes and Gordon Ramsay. In 2003, he came back to Dublin and opened Mint, which became a huge success. And in 2008, he became the youngest chef in Ireland to be awarded a Michelin star. It's an amazing story, and I'm really looking forward to cooking with Oliver today. Oliver, great to see you.
You too, Neven.
Lovely to be here in Cleaverees.
Thanks a million for coming.
Tell me a little bit about the restaurant.
Well, we opened August 2013, and the idea of the restaurant is it's a tasting plate restaurant. So what that means is it's little miniature dishes, fully formed miniature dishes. So people always say tapas. It's not tapas. Tapas is, for me, one component. This is just completely garnished miniature dishes for everyone to share. So you'd have 3 to 4 savoury dishes per person to be the equivalent of a starter and a main course.
Well, I was here recently for my birthday, and my staff surprised me. I had a
won't say how old you are.
No, thank you. Well, listen, tell me a little bit about the menu, because it's very interesting concept,
yeah.
And you know, the variety and the choice you have on it too.
Exactly, yeah. So, you know, for me, it's very important that as going out, when I'm going out as a consumer, I like to have loads of choice. I love the idea of picking, and over the years, people are always saying to me, they love starters, they love picking, they love sharing and all that sort of stuff. So that's really where the idea came from. So we've over 20 different savoury dishes, and then it's categorised into, we've a huge vegetarian dishes, so a veggie dish, we've a twisted classics, which is basically I get to play and doing regular dishes that we know, like one of the dishes is a tuna mayonnaise. So it's a play on the sandwich, but it's definitely not a sandwich.
Okay.
So it's all that, and then we've fish, meat, cheeses, and then sweets. So it's savoury or sweet.
So Oliver, what dish are you going to cook for me today?
Well, today I'm going to cook one of our best-selling dishes, which is the barbecued pork belly with apple and ginger, crispy crackling, and apple balls. So, Neven, this is the belly of pork I was telling you about, which we're going to confit first of all, and then prep the skin to actually make the pork crackling, which presents on top of it. I get it in with the skin on, and then I remove the skin. You can see the whole skin of the belly has been removed, and then I use that skin to make the crackling, as I said. So I keep it separate. So I'm just going to confit it in some duck fat. I salt the actual fat as opposed to salting the actual meat. Okay. So I get a seasoning right through to the centre, as opposed to just the seasoning on the outside. Fantastic. So that's it. So that belly down. So I always put it in then skin side facing down as well, because I find when you're confying, what happens is the meat sort of concaves upwards. So wherever the skin side is, that will always rise to the top. But if you put it skin side down, it doesn't. Just cover it then with tin foil, and then I just pop it in the oven, 140 degrees, for about 2 hours. Nice and low temperature. You don't want it boiling too fast.
Wow.
Okay, let's just drop that down. Then we're going to prep the skin. I've prepped most of it already, but I've left a little bit of fat on the centre. I cut off as much of the fat as possible now, okay? So literally run your knife over it, remove as much of the fat, so you're actually just left with the skin. And once all that fat is gone...
So this is very important, is it? Trim it.
Yeah, well, you reduce all that fat when it deep fries. You need to get rid of all the moisture, okay?
Of course.
And once the skin then is prepped, just like so, all I do is pop it all into the boiling water, and I boil it for about 20 minutes. And that'll just take any of the excess moisture out of it. And then once it's boiled and strained, I just bring it back to the chopping board, chop it all up into little strips.
Yes.
And I just put them in a low oven, a 60-degree oven or a 70-degree oven, leave them in overnight, and they completely dehydrate so they're
crisp.
Furthermore to that, now at the moment, they're too hard to eat. We deep fry them at 220 degrees.
Just regular fat, is it?
Yes, that's just sunflower oil. And it takes about 30 seconds, and then they'll all just pop up. Some will pop better than others. Rising to the surface.
Yeah.
Be careful not to overcook them, because you can't obviously burn them, because the oil is very, very high temperature.
Yeah.
And then
look at that.
Take them all out. You season them now as all the oil is drying in, so the salt actually absorbs into them, as opposed to just bounces off them.
I got to taste them.
Yeah.
Love it.
Now we're going to move on to making the actual barbecue glaze. And here I have the ingredients of it. Some ginger, shallots, garlic and chilli. Leave a pot here beside me. Put a little touch of oil in the base of the pan, and then just chop all these up, okay? So you don't have to peel it. You don't have to do anything with it. Seeds, the whole lot, and just chop the chilies up.
So there's a bit of a kick to this with the chilli.
Bit of a kick to it, yeah. We've obviously with the chilli, the membrane being the really hot part, we just leave everything in, so nice hit. The shallots again, just chop them up. 3 shallots.
Are you using all this garlic?
All this garlic as well.
So 4 cloves of garlic. And you're using the root ginger, you don't peel it, do you?
Don't peel the ginger either, no. Just put the whole thing in.
Now?
All this ginger. So the ginger gives it a lovely warm heat. So it's quite a lot of ginger. There's 150 grams of ginger there. So once all this is chopped up, in the pot, add a touch of salt, and the salt's just going to help draw out the moisture of it, so it'll stop it from sticking to the base of the pan. So that's it, the garlic, ginger, shallot and chilli, a little touch of oil, bit of salt in, and then you just put that onto the heat and you just sweat it off for about 3 or 4 minutes, just to start the cooking process, to take the harshness out of the shallot and the garlic, and just to warm it through, okay? So
lovely.
Once that's fried off, add in 2 vinegars. So I have a Cabernet Sauvignon vinegar, and then I have a Chardonnay vinegar, okay?
Oh,
so
interesting.
I find, when I made it first of all with the Cab Sauv, I found it very, very harsh, okay, quite acidic. So when I added a little bit of Chardonnay vinegar, being a tiny bit sweeter, I sort of neutralised that harsh acidity out of it. So you just reduce them down to a glass, as we say, so basically just before they've completely evaporated. Whilst that's reducing down, let me show you the rest of the stuff that goes into it. So what I have here is, I have some sweet soy sauce. I have straightforward treacle molasses, okay? And then this one here is quite an interesting. This is pomegranate molasses. It's a sweeter, it's a fresher, fruitier kind of molasses. Okay. Just a bit of smoke essence, okay? And this gives the whole barbecue really pungent. You put a tiny couple of drops in it. Okay? And finally, some tomato juice, some fresh tomato juice. Okay. Vinegar now, as you can see, is evaporated down. I'm going to add in the treacle, sweet soy sauce, and then finally the pomegranate molasses.
And you get that in any health food shop, would you?
You can buy it in the Asian supermarkets. That's where you get it, the Asian supermarkets. Give all your molasses a little stir in to all the veg. Make sure all the veg is lifted off the base and nothing's catching. And then I'm just going to pour in the tomato juice.
Just regular tomato juice?
Just regular tomato juice, that's it. One final stir, just leave it on a heat and just reduce it down.
How long will that take to reduce?
On a really high heat, that'll take somewhere between 20 to 30 minutes. The finished product after reduced, you're left with a consistency like this. Sort of like a runny ketchup.
Look at the darkness, look how rich that is.
So it's really rich, it's quite pungent. And then we just stick in a little bit of the smoke essence, okay? And as I said, this is incredibly strong.
Stir that in.
Stir that in.
Very clever.
And it just gives it that little barbecue kick. Another thing to go on the plate as another garnish for us then to counterbalance as well the barbecue-ness, we've got the crunchy, the crackle, I'm making a puree. And the puree we're making is an apple, so a Granny Smith apple and ginger puree. So 4 apples, peel all the apples off, and then I just chop them up. So that's all the apples done. Just a small amount of oil, okay, just so it doesn't stick to the base of the pot, okay? All the apples go in, and then we just need to chop up some ginger. I have 25 grams of ginger to 4 apples is basically the recipe I follow, okay? So, and again, you don't have to peel it. That's it, so the apple and ginger in, a little bit of oil, as I said, and then you just pop that onto the heat. Just add a touch of water, and again, the water is just to stop it from cashing to the base of the pot. And what I'm going to do then is cling film it. So I cling film all my pots. I don't have any lids, so just loads of cling film over the top of the pot. And then you can see what's going on all the time. And as well as that, no steam can escape whatsoever, so it breaks down much quicker. So once that's cooked for about 10 minutes, okay, and just keeping your eye on it so it doesn't catch, okay? Blend it in a jug blender, and then you have this puree, okay? So
in the squeezy bottle.
That's it, in a squeezy bottle, ready to go, and you have lovely apple and ginger puree.
Ginger is great.
The ginger comes through
Very
nice.
clever.
So the next thing now we have to do are make some apple balls. I just peel an apple, again, Granny Smith's, just with a melon baller, make little apple balls. Pop all the apples into a bag, thank you. I'm going to poach these in water, okay? A couple of drops of lemon juice, that just helps them not to lose their colour. And then about the juice of half an orange. And the oranges, again, just gives it a sweetness. So it's balancing the acidity and the sweetness.
Great job.
And what we do then is we just put them in the vac-pack machine, seal them up, and then when they're all sealed, they look like that. Overnight they were sealed, so you see they haven't discoloured. We just pop that into the water bath.
I'll do that for you. How long do you give them in the water bath?
I give them 20 minutes to 75. So this is one of the pork bellies which has already been confied. We allow it to cool down in the fat, put it on a tray, greaseproof paper, another sheet on top of it, another tray on top, and we press it overnight. When you have it pressed, you have a lovely compact pork belly like that. And you can see the layers of fat. It's really, really soft, and that's it. Okay, so to portion this up then, cut nice strip of pork.
Look at how tender it is.
Oh, it's just melting them out. If you confit right, it's melting them out, and it should remain really, really moist. So that's it. So just bring the pork belly over, heat up the pan. When it's hot, put the oil in, and then just putting the pork, the skin side facing down. I'm just going to leave it there till that side goes nice and brown. I just seal the skin side just to give that little bit of roasted flavour to it as well. Beautiful. Okay. So what we're looking to achieve is just a nice caramelisation on it. Okay. So just going to get a flat and our barbecue glaze. Okay. Little silver salver, and then once that's like so, so you have a nice even colour with a brush. Just brush liberal amounts of this barbecue sauce all around, and then we just pop this into an oven. That'll take about 4 to 5 minutes in an oven at 200 degrees. So that's the pork now. After 4 minutes, you can see how it's all glazed and the molasses is caught in. So just before I serve it, I give it another little topping of glaze.
Nice shine.
Just to give it a nice shine. And it's barbecued, so I want it to be that sort of charred, dark colour, like it's coming off of barbecues. Okay, so all we need then is a bit of sauce, okay? So just some regular gravy. And then, so just have some jus, okay? And in that jus then I put a spoon of the barbecue glaze. Just mix that all through. So again, I give the jus a bit of a barbecue-y kick to it as well. And then we just gonna plate. So to plate, use a brush. And first of all, I just brush some of the barbecue glaze across the plate. We'll take 3 apple balls and just stand them up on the line. Some of the apple and ginger puree. Put a couple of blobs on the plate. Then the actual pork itself. So sit the pork on the side of the plate there. Top it off with a little bit of jus over the top of the meat and just let it pour itself around the plate.
Gorgeous.
Some of the crispy pork skin, sit a piece of skin on top, and then finally you'll just garnish it off, whatever herb it is, if the chervil, pea shoots, something like that. 3 bits of herb on the plate, and there you have barbecue pork belly with apple and ginger puree, poached apple balls.
How good does that look? You get a little bit of the belly, some of the puree, and a little bit of the apple. Now, you go for it. You know, you're right about the apples. It's a rich dish, but it's fantastic, and it cuts through the whole richness.
It needs that sharpness.
Absolutely brilliant. Beautiful. Oliver, pleasure having you at home, chef.
As always,
Wish you continued success.
Thanks a million.
The Board Bia quality mark, ensuring your food is produced to the highest standards. the Board BIA quality mark, ensuring your food is produced to the highest standards of traceability and care for the environment.
Parfaits are one of the most delicious desserts. They're easy to make, very light, and this one reminds me of the tropics. I'm going to flavour it with Malibu and toasted coconut. So parfait is like a frozen ice cream. There's a few stages into this. First of all is making a sugar syrup. So this is a sugar thermometer. We have caster sugar and water in the pot, and it goes up to what is called firm ball. So that is like a softball caster sugar. So while that's cooking away, it's very, very nearly ready. We're going to let this whisk. Just put the lid down, 3 egg yolks. Just start it off on a low spin, first of all, and then check the sugar. So this is coming up to temperature. If it goes over this, it's going to colour, and that's not what we want. We want it that it's light and that it's also a nice kind of clear caramel, and it's going to cook the egg yolks. That's very, very important. Now it's ready. Roughly about 113 on the thermometer there. Bring this over here. So when you're doing this, you want to just pour the sugar in on top of the egg yolks. And just do it slowly, first of all. We're going to begin to cook the egg yolks. Turn the speed up, let this whisk and fluff up for about 5 minutes until it's cooled down completely. So after 5 minutes, it should have cooled down and it's light and fluffy. That's what you're looking for there. Lovely and creamy and light. We're going to put in the toasted coconut. Make sure it's cool, because if you put it in warm, it's obviously going to flatten and deflate the cream. Plenty of Malibu. Mix this all together. I think what I love about the parfaits is that they're easy to make, they're really creamy, and I'd always recommend making them a day ahead to make sure they're set. Some lightly whipped cream, and then just simply fold this in. So at this stage now it's ready. Spooning couldn't be easier. Make sure to go right up to the top. It's lovely and creamy and soft. So I'm just going to fill 4 of these. So just on a tray, which is lined with parchment paper, you hold the tray up like that, and then set them like that. So something like this would take about 3 to 4 hours, but I recommend in your freezer overnight. So I'm going to pop them into the freezer now. Now what I'm going to make next is the lovely syrup for the pineapple carpaccio. Passion fruit, a little bit of star anise, lemongrass, vanilla. So it's a very, very simple syrup. Light your gas, put in some water first of all, and some sugar, just some caster sugar. So lemongrass, chop this. And really the flavour of lemongrass, and it can actually be grown in Ireland, not very well to be honest with you, but it can. Lovely citrus, I just love the flavour of that. We're going to infuse that, so 2 star anise go in there. Put the seeds of vanilla into the syrup. Juice of 1 lime, so it's going to be really refreshing with the lemongrass, the lime juice. So squeeze that all in. Grate the zest of this half you want here, and squeeze it out. So you bring this to the boil. It's going to take about 4 to 5 minutes to cook out and let the sugar dissolve. Also, you can put in the skin of the vanilla, so don't waste it, use it up. Meanwhile, I'm going to prepare the pineapple. Now, what you're looking for with the pineapple is to make sure it's nice and ripe. And a good tip is just simply when the leaves come out, really, really simple, it's ripe. But be careful not to get caught doing that. Split it in half, and then I'm going to split it again. I'm going to use this mandolin, using a safety guard. Keep your hand nice and flat, so every slice is the same thickness. And then we're going to remove the core. Press it out. Arrange this on the plate. I'm going to add in some passion fruit. With the point of the knife, go right in. So this is our syrup. Sometimes when we make this in the restaurant, I use lime juice and zest, but we use carved lime leaves, which you can get them dried, but the best ones are frozen, and you'll get them in an Asian supermarket, and they're really good. Stir this in, and then we just simply pour the whole syrup over the pineapple. So make sure to get all the spices. So that's my carpaccio ready. I'm going to leave that to cool down. I'm going to serve that with the parfait and some lime meringues. To make the meringues, whisk 2 egg whites in a clean, dry bowl until stiff. Add the scraped out seeds from 1 vanilla pod. Then gradually add 75 grams of caster sugar, 1 tablespoon at a time, until the meringue holds its shape and is shiny and glossy. The vanilla seeds look great. Grate half a lime and add to the meringue mixture. Transfer the mixture to a piping bag fitted with a 1/4 inch nozzle and pipe 4-inch lengths of the meringue onto a baking sheet lined with non-stick parchment paper. Alternatively, you can put blobs of meringue onto a baking sheet and swipe them into a small sheet using a palette knife. Cook in an oven preheated to 100 degrees centigrade for 1 to 1.5 hours until the meringue is crisp but not coloured. Finally, leave the oven door slightly ajar and leave to cool completely in the oven. This helps to prevent the meringues from cracking. I'm ready to serve the toasted coconut parfait. And usually before I serve a parfait, I bring it to room temperature for about 3 or 4 minutes, just to get it kind of softened a little bit. So I'm going to dip it into some boiling water. Don't leave it in too long, we don't want it too soft. And then just with a good sharp knife, bring it over the plate and just should pop out. Perfect. So just arrange your pineapple, overlap each slice. So about 4 to 5 slices is more than enough to serve with this spoon. Lots of this syrup over, the passion fruit and the lime and the hint of lemongrass, which is delicious in this. I'm going to get some mint leaves, cut them into tiny little strips. Gives great colour, lovely freshness. We have some toasted coconut, and that's going to hold the sorbet. Now we have the mango gel. So how we make this in the restaurant is a coulis or a puree of mangoes passed through a sieve, and it's just lightly thickened with agar-agar, or we use another ingredient called Ultratex. So what it does, it holds it up on the plate. We're going to get our sorbet, just dip it in, and this is a coconut sorbet. So we make this with a coconut coulis and also some coconut milk and stock syrup, and them are meringue. Just little shards of this. You press these on the side of the sorbet. So that is the most delicious, light, refreshing dessert. That's my toasted coconut and Malibu parfait with pineapple carpaccio, one of my favourites.
The Board Bia quality mark, ensuring your food is produced to the highest standards.